Hello there folks, and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. Now today I'd like to revisit a topic that we started a little while ago and it was very popular. So I'd like to expand on that, and that's men's fragrances. Now in our first video on the subject, we just talked in general about finding a signature fragrance that may be relevant for you. Now in this video, I'd like to talk about some of the signature fragrances that I have found on my journey through life, and the times that I wear them, the times of year that I prefer certain fragrances over the other. And it's just really to give you an insight into what I have found, what works for me in the fragrance world. Perhaps it might help you if you might explore some of these fragrances yourselves. Now I've got a selection. Now unfortunately, like so many of us, I tend to accumulate lots of aftershaves and eau de colognes and things like that, and they're all in a drawer upstairs. Many I don't wear with much regularity, but the ones I'm sharing with you today are the ones which I wear pretty much all the time. Now I might go through a phase of using one for a week or so, or certain times of the year I will definitely favour certain fragrances, but these are the ones which are pretty much always in my drawer, and they're always available to me, depending on my mood, depending on where I'm going, and I'll choose them based on that. So first of all, I'll start off with probably the one which I've had for the longest in my little collection, and that is Aqua de Parma, and it's the Cologne. It's the original fragrance from that company and comes in a little box, and this is probably my third or fourth bottle of this stuff which I've used over the years. And Aqua de Parma is a company, dates back I think to 1916, named of course for the island or the city of Palma on the island of Mallorca, one of the Spanish islands, and it's quite a long, long history, this one. And let me just have a quick, so this one takes me back good few years. I've had this in my collection for a while. It's a very summery smell. It's quite a light fragrance, and I think that's one of the reasons why this was originally quite popular. Because back when they brought this out in the the 1910s and so on, most fragrances were very powerful, very strong, very traditional, and this came out, was very light, quite airy, and a change from what the norm was at the time, and it became very popular, as it remains today. I think its heyday would have been in the sort of 30s and 40s. I can imagine many of the movie stars using this stuff. Today it's still very popular. It's not in any way inexpensive though, unfortunately. A bottle of this size I think would cost about anything between 60 to 80 pounds. Like all of the fragrances I'm going to talk about today, the key thing is to shop around. Now you'll find them, thanks to the internet, you can shop around the world. But of course, the main players like Amazon, eBay, things like that, you're likely to get deals and to find quite a disparity in the prices. But definitely recommend Aqua de Parma. And as I say, it's a citrusy smell. I always think of it very much as a summer fragrance. I tend to wear it on, hot summer's day. You don't want anything overpowering and very strong. But Aqua de Parma, definitely one of my favorites for the summertime. Not a long-lasting fragrance, so if you put it on, it's not going to last the whole day, maybe a couple of hours at most. So not too bad. If you don't like quite strong, powerful, sickly smells, it's something which can be a useful alternative for you there. So what else have I got here? That is my cat, by the way. Don't be alarmed at the strange sounds. I'm at home filming this today, and my cat is obviously wanting to join in. So Dunhill Icon, one of my more recent acquisitions. Now Dunhill Icon, Dunhill, obviously a British heritage manufacturer, goes back quite some time. Probably best known for making bespoke suits and leather goods. They still have some fantastic leather products in their shop. If you ever get the chance to visit Jermyn Street in London, one of their flagship stores are on Jermyn Street. You go in there and it's like going into an oldie worldy gentleman's club. It's a wonderful experience. Now, like most fragrances, you come across them through some sort of personal journey. And Dunhill Icon came to me in, oh God, it must be 3 or 4 years ago now. I was given a spa trip to the Dunhill sort of spa in London. I went with a friend of mine. You'd have met John, one of the collaborators of the channel, and we both went up for the day. You know, you could have a drink, you could have a massage, and, you know, just have a tour of the building. It was a very good experience to visit Dunhill. But having had the massage in the sort of undressing room, there was a bottle of Dunhill, and the attendant said, you know, just help yourself to any of the fragrances. And I picked up Dunhill Icon, and it has since that time been one of my favourite fragrances. And let me give you a little... It's a very citrusy smell, very fresh, I find it, very slightly zappy smell, and certainly it's got a good silage. If you put it on, it'll be on you for, you know, a good few hours. And it's quite a powerful smell. It's strong, but not unpleasant, not heavy and sickly. It's quite fresh and modern smelling, I think, and citrus and slight woody tones, perhaps, would be how I would describe it. Now, I'm by no means a perfumier, right? So you might get other people who would sit here and tell you that it smells of vetiver and this, that, and the other. I just tell you basically in my simplest terms what it smells like. So it's quite citrusy and again, evocative of the summertime. Now, since they've brought out the Icon model, they've brought out a number of brother models or sister models to the Icon. They all come in the same sort of container, but they're all different colours. The silver one is the original. I do have the black one as well, which is a bit more heavy, a bit more nighttime oriented. So if you're going out in the evening, the black one I prefer on that occasion. But pretty much any daytime, you know, event, or in the summertime, I do like my Icon. One of my favourites, actually, and one of my go-to ones all the time. And that one, let's have a look, that would cost around about £70 for 100 millilitres. So, you know, in the scheme of what we're talking about, round about in the middle ground. You know, it's not hyper expensive, but it's an investment. So you want to make sure you choose it wisely. So what else can I talk about? Well, let's have a look. One of my longest ones is Yves Saint Laurent, and that's Curos. Now, I've had this for a very long... This was the first luxury aftershave or men's fragrance that I ever purchased. And it takes me, again, there's always a story behind it. In the early 1990s, I was in the military. I'd been posted to Germany, and I found myself with access to the duty-free store in the NAFI, which is the sort of soldiers, sailors, airmen's shop where you can buy things duty-free. So I bought a bottle of Curos because at the time, going back, 1990 I was posted there, and it was very much in trend, and it is a very distinctive odour, the old Curos. Oh, it's very summery, it takes me right back, you know. It's amazing how your senses can transport you through time, almost like Doctor Who's TARDIS. And that smell takes me back to 1990 and the sort of the heady days of that period of time where many fragrances were very strong and overpowering. And this one is quite strong. I always think of it as an evening or summer fragrance, yet again, because it's light and airy, citrus tones for sure. Quite fresh smelling. You know, if somebody walks past you and they're wearing Curos, you really know it. It doesn't take any prisoners on your nose. I don't wear it very often. You've got to be in the right mood. You know, it can be a little, ever so slightly sickly if you don't like the smell too much. So if I was going to be spending time with people in an enclosed space, I wouldn't perhaps wear this one. But again, I really do like it. Don't wear it all that often, but I do. It's definitely on my rotation in the summertime, in the summer months. So I've talked a lot about the things I like in the summer months, and they're all quite citrusy and light and airy smelling. So perhaps I'll talk about a bit more about some of the fragrances I'm using right now, because I'm in the very early days of British springtime. It's March when I'm filming this. So let me talk about Dior's Sauvage. Now, this is one, I've probably given this one as a gift, having expressed a preference for it a couple of years ago. And, you know, it's quite trendy. You see it being advertised all the time. Never been a huge fan of the Dior stuff, but I thought I'd give this one a go, having smelt a few samples for it. And this one, probably the cheapest of all of the products I'm going to show you here today, can be picked up anything from £25 to £35 if you shop around. And let me have a look. What can I tell you about it? I think of it, let's have a smell. Yeah, it's a bit more complicated in its odour. It's woody, definitely got some wood to it, and it is not too long lasting. If you put it on, it's not going to be something which is hanging around you in a cloud all day long. I apologise for the cat, I think she wants to go out. Wait 5 minutes! Anyway, it is... stand by, I'm just going to let the cat out. There we go. Cat's out, having a good time. Right, where was I? I was talking about Sauvage. So, Sauvage, as I say, slightly heavier in density, a little more complex in its fragrances. How do people describe it? It's described as fresh and woody by many people. I've got a preference for fresh and woody smelling things. I've used that a number of times to describe the fragrances I've got here. Probably why I've been drawn to this one. But yeah, I wear that pretty much if I was working, say, I don't want to wear very expensive products all day in work. But this one, quite enjoyable for the day. It's got good silage to it, but not too bad. So it's not going to be something hanging over you like a cloud. So I do like that one. Sort of my go-to day-to-day one, if you want to think of it like that. Let's have a look. What else? Well, one of the also modestly priced ones is this little fellow here, Gentleman's Aftershave Lotion, Mr. Taylor's, from Taylor's of Old Bond Street. Now, Taylor's of Old Bond Street is a shaving house, really, in Jermyn Street in London. There's actually a barber's where you can go to have your hair cut and shaved there. But there's also a fabulous shop selling all sorts of shaving products, from different types of razors to aftershaves to creams. I'm a big fan of their shaving creams, and for a number of years I have been a fan of their aftershaves as well. They're complementary to the shaving creams, so they do layer up very well. And this particular one is a very traditional oldie worldy smell. I would describe it as a little bit heavier than perhaps some of the other fragrances. The silage isn't too long. It doesn't linger with you all day. So, you put it on, it's quite a cedary smelling, woody smelling aftershave, this one. They do a number of different aftershaves within the store, but this is the Mr. Taylor's one, Gentleman's Aftershave. And I've gone through several bottles of this. It's another one I wear for day-to-day stuff. Can be picked up for around about £30 for 100 millilitres. So it's really good value for money. And it's a good all-round product as well, so highly recommend those. And if you're interested in a day-to-day aftershave, which isn't going to break the bank, it might be worth looking or visiting Taylor's if you can, and trying some of the fragrances there. There's loads of samples when you go in, so you can get the idea of something that'll work for you. So, drawing towards the end, let's have a look. My most recent purchase is Florists number 89. Now, Florists, of course, probably one of the oldest perfumiers, certainly in England. Heritage dates back to 1730. And again, it's a Jermyn Street an address. If you ever find yourself, as you may do as a good chap, walking down Jermyn Street in London, the mecca for men, really, if you like classy and stylish things, you'll find yourself walking past Florists. And Florists, as I say, deep history of making perfume. It has the royal warrant for Her Majesty the Queen, and let's have a look on the front, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Also very much favoured in the heyday, in the 30s, 40s and so on, by the movie stars and people like that. We know that David Niven was a big fan of this particular aftershave, as indeed was Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond. As a consequence, it's been hypothesized that this was the fragrance that Bond wore in the literary works created by Fleming, and it's since that time Florists has always been associated with the Bond legend, so to speak, much to its advantage, one would say. I found myself walking down Jermyn Street a few weeks ago. Hadn't been into Florists before. I always assumed it would be very pricey and not somewhere that I would want to invest my money. None of the products there had crossed my path, so I didn't know whether I liked them or not. So I happened to walk in, tried some of the samples in there. They're all laid out. It's a wonderful store. You can try anything in there and take things away to live with it for a few days before making a purchase, the little sample bottles. And actually, I tried 89 thinking, it's all hype. I'm not going to really like it. And I truly connected with it very quickly. It's a fragrance now that I love and I do wear regularly. Oh yes, it's definitely oldie heritage though. It's not a fresh and modern trendy smell. In this, you smell I smell a bit of leather, I smell a bit of wood, and I smell a bit of history. That's really what it smells like to me. So it's definitely a traditional smell. So if you like conservative, traditional smelling aftershave, definitely give Florists a try. I very much like it. Funny enough, I left it in the bathroom the other day, as one does when you shave. And in the evening, I sat next to my young son. He was playing some video game, and I caught a slight whiff of something which was familiar. And I said, Alex, what are you wearing? And he said, I just tried some of your Florist, Dad. It's not that expensive. It's only £80 for a bottle, 100 millilitres. So it's not crushingly expensive in the terms of men's aftershaves. You get quite a lot for your money. But after that, I gave my son a bottle of much cheaper aftershave to satisfy his desire for aftershave, so he'd leave my Florists alone. So definitely one of my favourites at the moment. And if you like the sort of traditional smells, it's a great way to go. Now, in the last video I did, you actually saw me and my friend John in Bath. We'd just been to Penhaligon's, the fragrance shop or perfumier's in Bath, and I bought this sample set at the time where you can buy, I think this was something like £60, £58, and you get 5 different fragrances from Penhaligon's, again, a traditional British heritage perfumier, catering to men and women, but predominantly, I believe, to men, and some of their more popular fragrances. Now, having tried all of those, there's one in there which really stands out to me, and that's Dunhill Bouquet. One of their older models, been around for a long time, very much favoured by some of the very big names. I know Winston Churchill was a fan of this one, and I really like this one. Very, as it might suggest, very floral. Again, very light, not unpleasant at all, and something which I could imagine wearing all the time. Lifts the mood, it's got that sort of pleasant, happy smell to it. So of all the 5 which I trialled there, the Dunhill Bouquet, one of their heritage ones, is actually the one which I've connected to the most, and I find myself being drawn to. You can tell, because there's less in this one than the other 4 bottles. So a very good way, actually, this way of buying men's fragrances, of seeing what you are drawn to. So you buy them, you've got some great aftershave, 20 millilitres in each bottle, so you're getting a good selection there, modest price, and at the end of the day, I will know definitely for sure which one of these will become my signature aftershave. So always worth shopping around for these little deals. So there we go. Now hopefully this little trot through the fragrances which appeal to me and I have worn over the years and still wear very much today will help you in making some decisions, or perhaps trying some different fragrances yourself. The secret is, when looking for your signature fragrance, you've got to get out there and use the number 1 nose. There's no other way. So go into these shops, or even email some of the manufacturers and ask them to send you samples. I'm sure they will be more than happy to accommodate, because at the end of the day, if they win you over as a customer, you're likely to buy their product for years. Because actually, when most people find their signature fragrance, it's something they'll stick with for the remainder of their lives in many cases. So certainly most of these are fragrances which will be on the life journey with me going forward. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have, please click that thumbs up button for me below to let me know you've liked it, and subscribe to the channel while you're there so you get all the future content we create. And please do leave me a comment in the comment section below. If you use an aftershave similar to any of these which you think I would like to try, let me know and I'll be more than happy to give it a go and perhaps feedback in a future video. It'll be my pleasure to do so. So until the next time we meet at the Chaps Guide, stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon.